Good morning. I feel like I have joined all of you at the top of the world. I wish you were standing here. It's beautiful. The sky is turning blue, and that just means your life moving forward is going to be fabulous. So happy to be here, and thank you, Dr. LaJudas, for that kind but not short introduction. To Dr. LaJudas and her fellow faculty members who have guided all of you for 4 inspiring years, to the President and Mrs. Ainley, to the Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Mark Walsh, and all of the board members here today, to the family and friends who have supported these amazing graduates, especially to the dads on this Father's Day, to the 2013-2014 Union College NCAA Division I ice hockey champs. I love NCAA sports. And most of all, to the class of 2014, congratulations. I am so deeply honored to be with you today at this college so deeply steeped in history, and thank you for letting me come yesterday and meet many of you, to this college that brings together the pursuit of knowledge with the commitment to service to the community and to the world. To meet people yesterday who are going to Rwanda, Uganda, to China, to India, to Ecuador. How amazing the depth of your commitment. To see the paper boxes for water and know your commitment to sustainability and know you spent hours putting those stickers on. As I was finishing my internal medicine residency and fellowship in clinical immunology at Walter Reed in the early 80s, we were confronted by an unknown disease that was killing young soldiers, a terrible mystery, a shocking turn of events since I thought medicine could do anything. I grew up in the age of technology, the advent of the CT scan. If you could see inside of a person's body to the tiniest of millimeter, how could there be a disease that we couldn't treat, that we couldn't diagnose, and was killing young people? Yet we were amazingly powerless for all of our technology and knowledge. And since that moment, I have really been compelled by the need to do something to combat the suffering of HIV/AIDS, and struck by the compassion of others along the way. When the disease was finally discovered to be HIV/AIDS, and the AIDS advocates came forward demanding new science and new treatment, these same advocates sat by the bedside of their dying friends, knowing that that was the fate awaiting them. Yet they were there, holding their hands with amazing compassion. Now I'm at the Office of the Global AIDS Coordinator in charge of running this program that I hope you're familiar with, which is the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, or PEPFAR. Your mom and dad's tax dollars, in addition to paying for your college education, go towards PEPFAR. PEPFAR is the largest single contribution of the United States to a single disease, and it's our government's translation of your U.S. taxpayer dollars into compassion and hope for those in despair and dying across the globe. In the late 90s, when I was working in East Africa, AIDS was truly wiping out an entire generation of individuals and fraying the very fabric of societies. Hospitals were completely overwhelmed by the massive number of dying patients. Patients routinely shared beds, and others lay dying on the floor without medications and without hope. A third of the mothers in Southern Africa were infected with HIV and transmitting the virus to their children, who were then also dying from HIV. Mothers and fathers were leaving families abandoned and orphaned. Death was everywhere, and the only business that was expanding in any East African country were the coffin makers. Nothing was being done to save them. No low-income country could afford to save them. At this time in the United States, we had triple drug therapy that was given through the Ryan White Act to everybody who was infected, at a cost of $20,000 to $25,000 a year. Yet millions and millions were infected around the globe, and it was a death sentence without a response. And then came PEPFAR and the Global Fund and other donors and multilateral organizations and civil society and a host of young college graduates like you all. And now HIV infection is no longer a death sentence in sub-Saharan Africa and other parts of the developing world. PEPFAR and Global Fund brought hope for those who are suffering through comprehensive care, treatment, and prevention of HIV, and the treatment of a patient in Africa with the same antiretroviral drugs costs $78 a year. The contributions of PEPFAR have been enormous. Started by President Bush and expanded by President Obama, PEPFAR has supported the 6.7 million people on treatment just mentioned, a fourfold increase since President Obama took office. And thanks to PEPFAR, 1,240,000 babies have been born HIV-free, and importantly, their mothers and fathers are surviving to care for them. Saving lives have transformed economies around the globe, and adults are returning to full work productivity. And what began as saving lives and restoring hope has changed the very course of the HIV pandemic. The pandemic that you all have known since birth. You've never lived in a world without pandemic HIV/AIDS, but we believe now that that world is possible with continued focus and concentration. And as mentioned already, the number of new infections is down by 50% since its peak in the late 1990s in sub-Saharan Africa. PEPFAR has produced results. And at a time when Washington seems so polarized, this program has sustained strong bipartisan support from both sides of the aisle, as well as the White House, the State Department, and Congress on a daily basis. Global HIV/AIDS issues have transcended not only administrations, but they have transcended the very political divide of Washington. PEPFAR has had the strong support of Secretary Kerry, Secretary Clinton, and now Secretary Kerry and Rice. Secretary Kerry was the actual father of the pre-PEPFAR legislation and brought attention to the global world of suffering. PEPFAR is a true reflection of American values. It's what is good about America. It's what makes people around the world feel good about Americans, and it's what makes us feel good every day. Now, I could go on for hours about PEPFAR, but having had 2 daughters, I wanted to instead also leave you with my top 10 life lessons. Lessons that you can remember as you leave Union College, and yes, I spent many, many nights watching Letterman. So, lesson number 10, learn to collate. Don't laugh. The last thing you want to do when you hand a general a document is have page 10 where page 30 should be. Which leads me to number 9, nothing is beneath you. Seriously, you should definitely learn to collate and get the numbers in the right order. But the real message is nothing is beneath you. You want your boss and your colleagues to know that you are a team player, and that if you got to stable, collate, and file, you do this with excitement and a smile. Number 8, every decision is not life-defining. Yeah, this is a hard one. My daughters struggle with this all the time. I know it's pounded in you for 4 years that this is your last time for freedom, the last time where decisions can be reversed. But really, not every decision is that critical. You can make mistakes. You can take a job and decide it isn't a good fit. You can start down a pathway to a master's and decide you need to make a right turn. Every decision is actually an opportunity. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but always an amazing opportunity. 7, everyone has an opinion, so listen. You've listened to your classmates for the last 4 years. My advice is to always be open to hear what someone has to say, even if the whole time you're rolling your eyes and shaking your head. Because even if that person is challenging you, there may be a grain of truth in it, and you can grow. 6, believe in the possible even when all say it's impossible. You do have your whole life and whole world ahead of you, and this is a true beginning. Don't let that spirit die. Maintain your excitement. I can see some are yawning and we're up all night, but that's okay. Still be excited. In my generation, President Kennedy said we were going to put a man on the moon. Now that seems so trite now and so passé, but he said it at a time when I was using a slide rule. Calculators were long to be discovered. We had slide rules, and we went to the moon with slide rules. If you can imagine it, it is possible. Number 5, the internet does not hold the truth. You do. Now, some people are probably deeply shocked, but please, Wikipedia does not even admit to having truth. Use the internet as a tool, but use your mind for your own thinking. You'll discover a lot about yourself. 4, always forward but never straight. You may ask why. If I have a goal, I want to go right towards it. I want to find it. I want to meet it. I want to reach out to it. I want to be successful really early. But there are things to your right and things to your left that are extraordinarily interesting that you will miss if you don't constantly look to see what's beside you. Number 3, be compassionate and passionate. The Dalai Lama said, if you want to be happy, practice compassion. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. Seems so simple, but today it is so difficult. But I know you have that mindset because I talked to students last night who have deep compassion, compassion for the community that surrounds you and compassion to others in the world. At the same time, be passionate about what you want to do. Number 2, be willing to fail spectacularly. Willingness to fail allows for innovation and breakthroughs. Steve Jobs was fired. Now, I'm not comparing myself to Steve Jobs, but as mentioned in the Thai trial, at the pinnacle of my career, in my mid-40s, I embarked on this trial of 16,000 patients to be tested for a new HIV vaccine. Yes, 16,000 in Thailand. I was written up in the front pages of Science as doing the most stupid thing that anyone could do on this planet by 32 leading physicians and scientists and 10 Nobel laureates. It was a bit daunting. I know it's not easy, but you have to be able to accept your failure in order to succeed brilliantly. My final life lesson, number 1, always nurture your family and friends. Nurturing your family and friends is number 1, is because they will always be there for you. When you fail miserably, as noted above, they will be there to help you put you back on your feet. When you can't find optimism, they'll be there to tell you it's right in front of your face. And yes, when you collate badly, they'll find the staple remover and help you start over. While this is a big day as it should be, take a moment to thank your families and friends that have stood beside you these last 4 years, who delivered you to this college campus and now have you leaving as proud women and men facing the future head on. Treasure this day always, and thank you so much to inviting me to be here, and congratulations to the class of 2014.